Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Daniel, and this is my colleague, Issy. For the next few minutes, we're going to be talking to you about how you can get the best out of ArcGIS Experience Builder. Now, if you've been to a few of our other presentations earlier today, or listened to our recent April webinar, you will be aware that through your ArcGIS subscription, you have access to a number of different configurable web app designers. These are primarily ArcGIS dashboards, ArcGIS instant apps, ArcGIS story maps, and ArcGIS Experience Builder. So it's worth considering which of these apps is best suited for your needs before diving straight into building an Experience Builder application. As its name probably suggests, if you want to design a dashboard application centered around charts and graphs, ArcGIS Dashboards is a logical starting place. If you're looking to design a simple viewing or editing app, then it's very likely there's an ArcGIS Instant App template suitable for your needs. If you're looking to create an interactive experience and embed different content into a storytelling format, then Story Maps is the perfect tool for the job. If, however, you're looking to design and build a custom application with a specific look and feel, with advanced editing, analytical, and interactive capabilities, then ArcGIS Experience Builder ticks all of these boxes. Now, we can't move on, though, without first acknowledging the retirement of ArcGIS Web App Builder. And as I'm sure most of you are aware, ArcGIS Web App Builder is being phased out with the retirement of the ArcGIS ABI for JavaScript 3.x. And from the end of 2025, it will be fully retired. So if you haven't already, you'll need to consider migrating some of your existing Web App Builder applications to one of the aforementioned Builder applications. Now, it's important to note that all of the widgets you've become accustomed to in Web App Builder will be available to you in Experience Builder. You may just have to search for it under a different name. So, for example, the incident analysis and info summary tools in Web App Builder are now available within the Near Me widget within Experience Builder. Now, there's a functionality matrix available on the ArcGIS Web App Builder and Experience Builder documentation pages on docs.arcgis.com. So if you're struggling to find the tool that performs the same functions that your Web App Builder apps performed, it's worth looking here for some guidance. Now, with that, though, let's take a look at how we can configure a basic app using ArcGIS Experience Builder to suit your different needs. Now, for the purpose of this demo, we're going to be posing as a fictional wind farm company, Esri UK Renewables, patent pending. And we're going to build an Experience Builder application to allow users to view existing wind farms across the Scottish Highlands, and using some of Experience Builder's widgets, create an application to allow planners to plot the locations of these new developments. Before we start, though, it's worth taking the time to plan out exactly how you want your app to appear by mocking up a diagram before diving straight into the Experience Builder editor. This will give you the best chance of designing an app fit for purpose, and from an end-user experience perspective, it allows you to sense-check any design decisions before configuring your application. Now, when creating your Experience Builder application, there are a number of ways to start. You can start with a blank application and build it from the ground up. You can select an out-of-the-box template from a variety of options, or you can even create your own templates and share it amongst your organization. Now, this is great if you find yourself repeatedly creating similar types of applications without having to design the interface, going through the laborious process of designing the interface from scratch every time. Now, in this example, as mentioned, we're posing as a renewables company that wants to design an application to allow its engineers to locate suitable sites for new wind farms. So we want a map-centric template. And I can filter these using the tabs along the top. Now, I think to start, I'm going to use Launchpad, as it closely resembles that mock-up I showed you earlier. Now, once the application loads, we are met with a default web map. So the first step is to add a map to our application. Now, if I select the map in the middle of the screen, you'll notice that the configuration panel on the right-hand side has updated. And from here, I can search my content and add a map to my application. So I'm going to select a map that I pre-configured with a wind farm dataset I have borrowed from the Highland Council, as well as a whole host of constraints data that I've acquired from the Living Atlas. Now, once that data has been added to the map, you can see it's been updated. So now let's take a look at some of the other settings we can configure within the map pane. Now, again, in the configuration panel on the right-hand side, you can see we have a number of settings we can toggle on and off. So, for example, the compass icon, or indeed the base map selector. You'll notice, though, that in toggling on the base map selector, it's been placed over the top of my search bar. Now, if I try to drag and move my search bar, it won't let me. And this is because I have lock layout enabled. And this is so you don't accidentally move widgets or features when making edits to your application. So if I toggle that off, I can now drag and resize my search bar like so. Now, at the minute, the app looks a little bit bland, and it's lacking an identity. So let's take a look at the Themes tab and see if we can't liven it up a little bit. Now, once you open it, you'll see there are a number of default options for you to choose from, as well as an organization theme. And this is where the administrator of your organization can set a custom theme that you can implement across all of your apps. For the purposes of today, though, I'm going to be using my own theme based on the branding used by Esri UK Renewables. There we go. Now, in true Blue Peter fashion, here's one I created earlier. And as you can see, I have applied my custom theme, but I've also added a header, including my logo and the title of my application. And I think you'll agree it's starting to take shape. If you remember back to my mock-up, though, the next thing I wanted to add was some analysis tools. So if I go to the Insert tab up on the top left and scroll down, you can see I have various widgets split by their type. And if I go all the way down to the bottom to the layout widgets, I'm looking for one called Sidebar in particular. I can drag and drop this widget into my map and size it accordingly. And what you'll also notice is that the panel on the right-hand side has also updated, and this allows me to tweak the appearance and behavior of my widget. Now, what the sidebar widget allows me to do is embed content into my application without taking up valuable screen real estate. So anything I add into this widget can be expanded and collapsed at the click of a button. Let me add a widget to it, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So going back to the Insert tab, let's take a look at some of the map-centric widgets, specifically the Near Me widget. So again, I drag and drop that into my map. I can adjust it using some of the inbuilt functionality. So the first thing I need to do is connect data to this widget. And for that, I need to point it at the data within my map. Now again, on the right-hand side, you can see the configuration panel's updated. I simply point it at my map, and then I can start adding layers I want to use for my analysis. So from here, I can select layers from my web map, and you can see that I've grouped all of my constraints in this layer already, from my OS Open Rivers, special protection areas, sites of special scientific interest. And these will be highlighted whenever a user runs the analysis from their digitized feature. Now, once added, I can customize a message to appear should the user run the analysis, and I can also set a default buffer distance that I want the features to be highlighted when the user digitizes their area of interest. If I hop across to an app I created earlier, I'll run the analysis, and you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Give that a second to load. And you can now see that several of my constraints have now been highlighted. So my sites of special protection areas, my special areas of conservation, and a couple of rivers as well. Now, you may have noticed this button at the bottom left-hand side of my screen, and this links me off to another page that I've added to my Experience Builder application, only this time it's a 3D scene. Now, the clever thing you'll note here is that as I pan and zoom on my scene, if I hop back to my 2D scene, the extent has changed here as well. And I can show you how I've done that as well. So hopping back into the builder, I click on the map and head to Actions. And from here, I can set a trigger that says, when the extent changes on my scene, I want this brought into my 2D map as well. There we go. And with that rather quick fly-through, and hopefully around about 6 minutes, we've created a basic Experience Builder app. And it just goes to show that if you plan in advance, select the appropriate template, and have a clear end goal in mind, pulling together an Experience Builder application doesn't have to be tricky, and having a few Blue Peter examples as well. So I'm now going to hand you over to my colleague Issy, who's going to show you how you can elevate your apps with some slightly more advanced capabilities in ArcGIS Experience Builder. Over to you, Issy.
Thanks, Dan. Cool. So now we've seen how we can create an effective Experience Builder application to fit our needs and theme it around our organization. I now want to take this a step further by looking into how we can integrate our Experience Builder applications with other ArcGIS products and different ways we can share these applications within our team and with the wider public. So within Experience Builder, we have a few key tools available that allow us to integrate other ArcGIS applications into our app. So firstly, we've got the survey widget, which allows us to bring in our Survey 123 forms directly into our apps. So using this widget, we can pull geometry and attribute information directly from our maps into our forms. And then secondly, we've got the embed widget. So this allows us to embed other ArcGIS applications, such as ArcGIS dashboards and ArcGIS instant apps, into our Experience Builder applications. So this means that we can utilize all of the strengths that Dan spoke about earlier about all of those apps, but all contained within one Experience Builder application. So lastly, I just wanted to highlight how easy it is to integrate your Experience Builder applications into other ArcGIS applications, such as your ArcGIS hub sites and ArcGIS story maps. So as you can use the organization theme that we looked at, you can easily match the theming of your Experience Builder applications to your other ArcGIS apps and also your own websites. So let's take a look at the survey and embed widgets in action. So to do this, we're going to stick with our wind farm scenario and now look at getting some feedback from the public on some potential wind farms that we've generated. So you'll see, to start us off, I've got a basic Experience Builder application to showcase these 3 potential locations. And I've just got a list widget down the bottom here that lets us pick a wind farm we'd like to look at and zoom to that location. So seeing as this experience is going to be used to gain some feedback, I want to add in a Survey 123 form that I've created. So to do that, I'm just going to open up this sidebar and we'll drag in the survey widget and just make full size to that sidebar. So the survey widget gives us a few different options for adding in a survey. So we can either create a survey from scratch within the Experience Builder application, or we can add in a survey that either we or one of our colleagues has already created. So I'm going to add in a survey that I've already created. I can then also choose the appearance of my survey. So I'm just going to choose to enable my survey header and enable the survey theme as I set that up to match my Experience Builder theme. So what's great about this widget is I can now choose to dynamically bring in information from my experience into my form. So to do this, we can choose to send data to the survey, and then I'm just going to select the data that's being selected in my experience. I can then set up a field question connection so that the site name of my wind farm is sent into my form. So if we just click OK, we can take a look at that in action. So if I click on a wind farm that I'd like to submit a survey for, you can see that that's filled in my survey there. So to consolidate this feedback, ideally I want this displayed in easy to understand charts, which immediately makes me want to create an ArcGIS dashboard that our users can navigate to see the survey responses so far. So you'll see I've begun to set this up by adding these buttons to the bottom of my list widget here. So that'll just take us to a new page in our experience to feature our dashboard. So to add in an external application to our experience, we can use the embed widget, which I'll just grab now and make full size to the fixed panel that I've got set up. So within the embed widget, I can either use a URL to embed external ArcGIS applications, or I can embed using HTML code. I'm just going to embed using the URL of a dashboard that I've already got set up. That second to load. So while this dashboard is useful on its own, ideally I want this filtered down to just the wind farm that I have specifically selected. So this is where we can use URL parameters that I've set up within my ArcGIS dashboard to pull information from my experience into the dashboard. So to add in these parameters, I can use the connector data option, and then, much like in the survey widget, I'll just select the data that's being selected in my experience. So I can then set up the URL parameters using attributes from my experience. So I'll just draw those in now. And we'll give that a second. Cool. And now you'll see that it's just filtered down to the Shenesse wind farm that I specifically selected. So now that we've explored the dynamic capabilities of integrating external applications into our experiences, let's shift our focus over to the next step, making sure our application is ready to be shared with the public. So if I ask you to take a look at this top bar up here, this is where we have a couple options for testing out our experience before it's ready to be shared with the public. So firstly, we've got the live view just up here. So this is what we've been using throughout the talk, and it just lets us test out different design and widget choices. And then secondly, we've got the preview option. So this lets us get a clear understanding of exactly what our audience is going to see without having to make any changes to the public version of our app. So what I really appreciate about this is if I make a mistake in my app, so for example, accidentally delete this dashboard, even if I now go on and save my dashboard, that won't be removed in the public version of my experience, and I can always use the undo button here to bring in my dashboard and breathe a sigh of relief that I didn't completely delete it. So one of the most crucial aspects of getting our application ready to be shared with the public is ensuring its adaptability across various devices and screen sizes. So for each different device, we can either let Experience Builder adjust the layout dynamically, which I'm going to choose to do for the tablet mode, or we can choose to manually adjust the layout and the widgets, which is what I'm going to choose to do for the mobile mode, as I've got a mobile version of this dashboard which will look a lot better than this one does right now. So you'll see I've already switched over to the custom design mode, and I've reformatted our header so that it fits a smaller screen size. We can then swap out this dashboard by sending it to the pending list. This just means that it'll stay put in all of my other device modes. If we just take a look at that pending list, you'll see that I've renamed a couple of my widgets in here, so this just makes my life a lot easier when trying to organize my different layouts. So if I just bring in this other embed widget, which I've already configured with the dashboard URL and an additional URL parameter so that it directs towards the mobile version of my dashboard. So we can take a look at that in action if I just save that. And then we can jump into the preview mode. And firstly, we'll just be seeing that front page. Let's use those buttons. And we'll first be greeted with the desktop view. But if I just drag that out, should be able to size this down. Changed my resolution. It's not going to do it now. That is a shame. But it would look like a mobile view. But we'll move on from that. Awesome. Cool. So what we've shown you today is just a glimpse into what's possible with Experience Builder. I really encourage you to take a look at all of the templates available and also the Experience Builder gallery, just to get some ideas of the really cool apps that some of my colleagues and other ArcGIS users have created over the years. So you'll see on the screen here a couple notable examples. So one where Experience Builder is used to almost mimic a PowerPoint presentation, so really making use of those button widgets. And then a flashback to last year's presentation on Experience Builder, where it was used to create an entire website, so making use of those scrollable templates. So finally, as well as our Experience Builder gallery, I wanted to encourage you to take a look through all of the new functionality that we have planned for Experience Builder in 2024. So while I wish I did have time to go through all of this today, I did want to pick out a few of the things that I'm most excited for. So we've got the ability to view related records, batch attribute editing, and also the simple builder mode, which I know will really come in handy when moving over from Web App Builder to Experience Builder. So I hope you've enjoyed our talk today, whether you're an Experience Builder Pro or you're just getting started moving from Web App Builder to Experience Builder. Hope it's inspired you to get creative with Experience Builder. Feel free to come and ask us some questions, or we will be over on floor 2 at the tech presenter stand if you'd rather head over there over the break. But yeah, thank you for listening.